When I hear the term African American, I just think of a black person. Uh, and when I think of a black person, I think of someone who has dark skin, or not necessarily that dark, but who isn't white or isn't Spanish, isn't that Indian. But when you say African American culture or history, like I guess I just default to like the civil rights movement and thinking about people like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and Malcolm X. Besides that, I don't really think of much else. The misconception that all black people have a similar background, meaning, like poverty or not having a lot of money or not having a good education or not being intelligent and, just focusing on like entertainment or like sports. I think that's the main misconception. Basically putting all black people into one group and all like being like the same person basically. I think that's the main misconception regarding black people. One way I think African Americans can help change and like overcome these misconceptions is to like have a greater, like a more positive like presence in the media and be focused more less on just like entertainment like music artists and like, athletes or more and more focused on like positive things like business leaders or political leaders or activists and things like that to change the views.
When did you begin to learn about African American or Black culture?
I began learning about this in. I probably started in school. My parents didn't really elaborate on it because I was going to learn about it anyway. So, learning in school gave me enough background info, and then looking it up myself helped me out.
So, what age?
Like, I say about like 10, 11. Being, like I said with my dad, not working harder than most of the people at his job and receiving less for what he does. Even in like academics, probably you could say like myself, I could get as many A's as I can possibly receive, but somebody else can get all A's and make a better living.
How do you think other people perceive African American people?
I feel other people perceive, some people perceive as we're equal, it doesn't matter. But other people sometimes they feel like we're a little lesser. Um, like back, Martin Luther King, yeah. Malcolm X, yes. Rosa Parks, yes. Um, I feel like what we endured in those times are why we work harder today than than how other people work these days. I feel that ourselves we strive to do much better now than other people have to do.
Do you think that perception of people, being racist or whatever,
Oh yeah,
still exists?
there's a lot. People can still be racist. I mean, I could walk. I can remember one time my mom was driving. I was like 12, and she accidentally like drove with somebody on the road, and the white dude just pulls aside and calls her the N word. I was like, okay, like there's really no point for that, but they just take it to a certain extent, and it doesn't. I don't get it, you know.
Hi, my name is Sarah Shalave, and I was born in Staten Island, New York. I would describe Staten Island as a safe place to live. In fact, Staten Island is really boring. As you see it, what are some of the major challenges that African American people in this country have experienced or continue to experience? I think that African Americans struggle with the stereotype that society has put upon their race. I think they struggle to be taken seriously and they have to put more effort than others to do and to be respected by their peers. Even nowadays, I think that most people would hire an educated white man over an educated black man, and that's unfortunate. What misconceptions do you think Americans have about Black Americans? I think people have put African American people in the stupid stereotype that being black means being ghetto and talking slang and being broke. Being black in most people's eyes is a bad thing, and that even though we're in 2014, white is apparently the superior race.
Gordon, and my hometown is North New
Diversity
Jersey.
was there in your hometown?
Wasn't too much diversity. It was just blacks and Latinos.
Did you begin to learn about African American or black culture?
Through grade school and from parenting.
The things you learned are important. Why or why not?
It's definitely important because everyone should know their roots and where they came
Some
from.
of the things you have learned about African American history or culture.
That's a confusing question because I feel as though African American history is a part of the history that we've been learned about.
My name is Aaliyah Lewis, and I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Can you describe your hometown?
It was definitely diverse. They had a lot of different cultures. It was cold. We sled a lot. Yeah.
How did you begin to learn about African American or black culture?
Honestly, when I was little, BET was something that really brought forth African American history and culture, because in Canada we didn't really have that distinct separation. So just watching BET, but we still didn't get everything because at 8 o'clock the channel cut off and we couldn't watch the movies that were presented.
What misconceptions do you think Americans have about black Americans?
Well, you already have the most basic stereotypes that all we do is eat fried chicken, drink grape juice, and love watermelon. But I also believe that there are serious misconceptions about our ability to work in a professional setting, about our ability to articulate things, and what would be considered an educated manner, our ability to work hard and work together in groups with people outside of our race who are automatically assumed to be aggressive or aggressors. I also believe that there's a common misconception in the fact that the African American male is not around his family and the African American female just collects welfare checks every day. There is a lot of misconceptions that are held about people of color throughout this country.